Okay, so I've got my title block there working maybe a bit better than the way it was before, but it still needs some work, obviously. But the key there is, or the key point is that it is a block. So the whole point of a block is that it's something you can change and it'll update all of the instances of that block. So it doesn't matter if I duplicate this page now, which I'll just do. So I duplicate the page and then decide to come back later and modify that block or that title block. It's going to change on both pages. So maybe I'll just do a very quick example of that. So I'll select it. Now that I've made it into a block, the easy way to change it is to right-click and go to Edit Block in Place. And I'll just click OK. And so I don't want this amendments list here on the left, so I'm going to delete that. And then I'll join my lines together, so I can't see any of the buttons on that projector. So I'll just fill up those lines together, get rid of this line. We will probably need an amendments list at the end, but for now, that's how I want it to be. So I'll save changes, click OK, and I know then that on all the pages where I've used that title block, that change is going to come across. Now, going on to my other pages, you can see that they still have the old title block. So I'll show you a really good trick there. I'm going to delete the title block from both of those pages. So say now I want to replace that with my new title block. You probably all know that we could go and insert that by just going to Insert and finding that block in the list. And so it's probably going to be right at the bottom. There it is, my title. So I can obviously insert it and just place it by clicking. But what if I want to put it in exactly the same place? So a couple of good tricks for that. So I'll go back to the page where I had it. It's not in a very good place, by the way, but just as an example. So I'm going to select that. And, well, maybe we'll get it in a good place. So this point here is probably meant to be the insertion point. So I'll click on the corner there. That's actually a bit low, so I'll bring it up a bit. To there, maybe. That'll do. Again, still not a great place, but again, just to get started. So I'm going to select that, right-click, and then go to the clipboard option. And then the trick is to use copy with base point. So then I'll type 0, 0, enter, and then go to my new page without a title block, right-click, clipboard, and then paste, and then this time again, type 0, 0 for the insertion point. Okay, so that way it's going to put it in exactly the same place on this page as it was on the one I copied it from. And that works for anything. So say you've got a north point. So that's something you should all have on your sheets. So maybe I'll insert one of those. So again, going to that AutoCAD library. And in Box 2D, we should have some symbols. Actually, I'll just get one from the other folder where I know it is. So AutoCAD 2D. There are definitely some north points here. I'll just change it to icons so I can see them. Oh, absolutely, exactly. It will. Just in that file, though. Yep. So I'm just looking for my north arrows out here somewhere. Here we are. Okay, so I've got a north point there. And so I'll tick rotation for this one as well, because I want to rotate it after I've placed it. So let's place this on my page and then set the angle that I want, which, actually, so this, is it like that or is it like this? It's this way? Yeah. Okay, so that's the direction we want on all the pages. And maybe I want that to be a bit bigger as well, so I'll show you a good trick there. So I'll select that, right click and go to Properties. And instead of using the Scale tool, I can type in a scale factor here. So this is a really good thing to know, because with that you can actually scale things differently in X and Y. So notice how I've made an ellipse sort of shape. I've just scaled it with X. This one we do want to make the Y scale the same, so I'll make that 2 as well. But I'll leave scale Z, because that's the 3D. We don't need to worry about that. So that's the size I want. That'll do. Okay, so I'll select that now again, and right click, go to Clipboard, copy with base point, and then again 0, 0 as the base point. If you're wondering, that's the bottom left corner of the page when you're in a layout, 0, 0. Then go to a new page, again right click, Clipboard, paste, and then again 0, 0 goes in the same spot.
Is there a paste and place option here?
No, so no, there isn't. No, yeah. You've got this paste to original coordinates, but it doesn't work properly on sheets or on layouts. Okay, so I've got my my sheets starting to come together, and then I want to make a sheet now for. Well, I'll start with one for the proposed plan, which you probably already have, but just to give you some ideas about how to make views from that. So this is my proposed plan back on the Model tab. So, so going on to the page I just had. Okay, so I want to bring this across, and I know that my plan, because I've projected from this existing plan, I know that my proposed plan is over here to the right. There it is. So I've just used the pan option using the wheel on my mouse, using the hand over here, you can do the same thing. So that's positioned it on the page. And there is a way of panning in a perfectly straight line so that you don't go up or down. But I'm not going to show you that because the hand does work pretty well. And even if you pan across without going up or down, you're still going to have to check the horizontal position. So if it's not clear, what I'm trying to achieve here is have the plan in exactly the same spot on this sheet as it is on this one. So that's my existing plan. Don't worry about the diagonal line, but that is my existing plan. This is my proposed plan. So how do I then get the two plans in the same place on the page? Okay. So there's a couple of tricks. Basically using the same method as what I just showed you, we can get a set outline. So if you missed it, I just went back onto the sheet by double clicking outside the viewport, this button here, model and paper. They do the same thing. So hopefully you're all getting comfortable with that. Double clicking to make the viewport active is the same as going to model, and then double clicking outside is the same as going to paper. So I'll start with that viewport, and I'll make sure it's on a layer that makes sense. So I've got a layer there called viewport, and in properties you'll see that viewport layer, or should be, it wasn't actually, but you can see there should be set to be non-printing. So that means even though I can see the viewport on the sheet, I know when I go to print, it obviously won't print out. So if we look at the print preview just quickly. Okay, so that's how it would print. And I clear these lines later, but again, that's the important thing there, it's not showing the viewport. Okay, so then I'm going to draw a line from the corner of the building. And I'll just take it down and to the left. And, well, actually, maybe there, what I'll do is I'll take that to 0, 0. Oh, no, I won't. That's too confusing, because to do that, you'd need to use a special option, which I don't want to show you yet. So I'll just draw a line from that corner, and I'll just click a point randomly. Okay, so that line is going to locate my building on the page. So just like I showed you before, I'm going to select that line, right click, clipboard. So a lot of repetition here hopefully, it's going to make it clearer. Copy with base point. Just like I did with the other things. 0, 0 is my base point. So now, if I go to my new page, firstly I've got to make sure that I'm on the page, so on paper. And then, just like before, right click, clipboard, paste. 0, 0 is my insertion point. So now this line is at exactly the same point or exactly the same place as it was on the original sheet. Exactly, that's right, it is, exactly, that's it. So now I can select my viewport, this border here. Firstly, I'll put it onto the same layer I had it on my other sheet, on the viewport layer. And now, by clicking the move tool, I can snap to the corner of my wall and then snap that onto the end of my line. Okay, so it's like this, like an anchor or a handle that we can use to set out that location. And so now, and it's really important when you start making things like PDFs and also doing prints, they'll line up. And so, and you'll see it works beautifully, but especially with PDFs, you can just flick through those drawings and you'll see the changes instantly. Because the walls, the existing walls, will be in exactly the same spot, and then you'll suddenly see the new walls and the other changes come in straight away, and it's all really clear. So it's a really important thing that you line those drawings up where possible, and drawing in things like lines to set out those locations usually is the easiest way. So now that I've done that, I can delete this line. So then the last thing I was going to show you, we're getting low on time, but I was going to show you as well how you can then set up different layers in the different viewports. So I'll just get you started with that. We'll have to continue with this next week, but basically here I've got this layout called Layout 1 with a silly name, so I'm going to rename that and call it Propose. Whoops, turn caps off. Proposed Plan. It's really ground floor plan, so proposed GF is probably okay. GF plan. And so then I want a reflected ceiling plan. So I'm going to duplicate that layout now by going to Move or Copy, tick Create a Copy, and then go to the one after the one I've selected. So it goes next to it. In other words, after the one, sorry, that I've duplicated. So now I've got an exact copy. And if I go in here now, and I'll just start with some of these layers. So this is going to be my RCP, my reflected ceiling plan. So maybe I'll rename this layout straight away. So proposed ground floor, sorry, RCP. So it is working, it's just slow, there we go. RCP. Okay, so we definitely don't want furniture to show on our reflected ceiling plan. So you've got the option in your layers to freeze just in the current viewport. So it's the third icon there. So this element as well, so that's another sort of furniture. So again, I can freeze just in this viewport. Okay, I'd need to make a new layer for that, but if I go back to the original, notice how the layers are still on in that viewport. But in this viewport, we can have different combinations of layers turned on and off. So that way we can have another layer for the lights, and have them showing in this plan, but not in the other one. So that means we don't need to have two different floor plans, one for the floor plan, one for the reflected ceiling plan. We can just have the one back in the model tab. So I can put my lights over this plan, and then again, just using the layers, we can get those two different view setups. Okay, so even though you won't have these things drawn for a while, you can start setting up the pages that you need. You don't need to do all of them, but you should at least have a sheet or two set up for your reflected ceiling plans, and then maybe we'll go further with this next week, setting up views for your bathroom drawings, so that you'll need to set up some viewports at different scale. So I know we're out of time, but very quickly, just so you know, you've got wherever your bathroom is drawn in your 1 to 50 floor plan. So you don't need to redraw that for the 1 to 20 plan. You just need to set up a viewport that shows it at a different scale. But again, we'll go further with that next week. So as long as you've made a start on setting up the views that you need with the sheets that you need for these new drawings, and started working on your title block, then you just need to continue on maybe refining your drawings, showing your proposed layouts during the week. Sorry, the furniture. Well, you should have the furniture showing in your base model, but then not on the proposed layout. So you'll have a couple. So you're going to have it's actually the next assignment. You've got your furniture layouts. So you do need to keep them for this assignment. So you do your furniture fittings and equipment plans. But for this assignment, you actually don't need to show furniture at all. So these floor plans. Oh, so that's your first one. The second one. So I don't think any of these plans are going to show furniture.
But we have to show the furniture on the first one?
Well, not really. I mean, I know it said, yeah, just built in. So it's really in the third assignment where you're going to show the furniture that's not built in.
Just the walls?
Yeah, yeah. But if you left the furniture on, that's fine.
What time do you want to do?
Oh, 11, or yeah, maybe slightly after 11.